All right, welcome ladies and gentlemen to week number 35. This is my open Q&A. My name is Mr. McLogan, and thank you so much guys for joining in. I look forward to answering some of your questions, as I had some questions that were pre-submitted, and also letting you know about the worst part of teaching. That is something, and actually, you know what? I totally even forgot. Oh, this is going to be great. I want to see if there's anybody. I sent out an email today, and if you guys have are not on my email list, I actually was offering out some free tutoring for anybody that got the answer right. And I was so busy that I didn't even get the check. So I'll go and get to on that because I wanted to see if anybody got my answer from you guys on there. And I believe actually if you go to if you're interested in always catching up on my emails, I always kind of give you guys an update of when I'm going live, as well as what is the kind of topics. And I believe right now I have a, just at freemathvideos.com, there is a opt-in for my surviving math class thing that you can go ahead and get signed up for my email on there. So thank you so much guys for joining in. Hey, Kressler, Aiden, Emmy, Bruno, Suki, Hasby, Kaz, I see all of you guys, Johnny, Kwa, a lot of you guys in there. That is awesome to see. I want to see if anybody got this. I kind of totally forgot until I started going live, and I'm like, hey, somebody might have actually submitted my answer, because before I was like, oh, let me just tell you about the worst part of teaching, but then I'm like, you know what? I just want to make sure, and let's see if anybody got that answer. How many responses? Oh, bot, I got a lot of quick. Okay. Well, I'm going to bet somebody got in there. But anyways, all right, we'll hold this off. So after 9 o'clock, if somebody gets it, then we'll give it out too. So either way, I did get some people that responded. I'm assuming that somebody's going to get this answer because, there's a lot of great things about teaching, obviously, and there's a lot of poor things about teaching that, I'm sure many of you are aware of and maybe can relate to. That, a lot of the common things is just, going to be the pay, dealing with kids, dealing with parents, dealing with administration. Obviously, with all this COVID and distance learning, there's a lot more demands of us as teachers. But the worst part of teaching is something that has been around for a very, very long time, and something that I even struggled with this year because of all of the demands for teaching. I was really struggling because this is one thing that I absolutely, if I could solve this, I could probably teach forever. And, it just kind of joking aside, it is just one of those things where it's a necessary, I don't really say necessary evil, but it's just one of those things that I know I have to do, but it's just one of those that I just really, really do not enjoy. And the reason why I do not enjoy it, and that's why I call it the worst part of teaching, is just because it takes so much time. And as far as math teachers, English teachers, and any teacher that is going to be grading a lot of papers or taking a lot of time, they know exactly what I'm talking about when my worst part of teaching is just grading. I love the idea of being able to see what students know and understand and giving them feedback. But just the idea of, and just the process of going through everybody's work and giving them that feedback is just a lot. I'll teach through a whole class, and then I was grading some papers this weekend, and it's hours upon hours of grading. And, sometimes, students really take that feedback and they grow from it and they learn from it and they need it. But I think also the kind of deflating purpose is a lot of that grading is, a lot of students don't take that feedback. You're putting in all this time and effort into grading, and then a lot of students just could kind of, care less in that regard. So it's definitely one of those things that I always have looked into, what could I maybe do to get away from grading? And even this year I was like, I think I might just have to do multiple choice tests. I just don't have time to grade. And, every single year though, I gave my students a quiz and I'm seeing where they're making their mistakes. I'm like, I just can't justify having students go through my course without having some feedback, and just bubbling in some answers is not going to suffice in my opinion for the learning that they're going to need. And so so I quickly scrapped my plans of providing a little bit more multiple choice problems, because I just realized as a teacher, I think that's the most important thing that I got to be able to do is give students that feedback, even if I get frustrated that I know some of them are not taking that feedback seriously, or maybe, or the time that it's taken me to go ahead and grade those papers. I do realize that I think as a teacher, especially a math teacher, that's one of the most important things that I can provide to my students, in addition, on top of the instruction. But I will tell you, it is something that I do not look forward to. Usually at the beginning of the year, there's a couple assessments here or there. I always am kind of excited to see how students, how well my lesson went, to kind of see what they did. But there's a lot of times I just look at papers and I just get depressed, because it's a lot of time. And obviously, with you guys, I mean, I could be grading papers right now. It's just, and that's typically Sunday nights, Monday evenings. I'm doing a lot of grading. And so that takes away other time, away from things that I could be doing, just relaxing, or preparing for my lessons for the week. So grading is the worst. I hope one of you emailed me back and wrote that in there. So therefore I will provide some free tutoring, which brings me up to one of my points. Which actually brings me up to my next thing is, if you, for any of you guys that have followed me on Instagram at Brian McLogan, you might have noticed over the summer, I did a little giveaway from some free tutoring. And we actually did a free tutoring, giveaway. And that was, so we did a free tutoring giveaway. I think that was in July. And that was awesome. So I can't remember. I think the student they just shared my post or commented down on my post on Instagram, and I gave away a free tutoring. And then last month in August, I did another giveaway, another giveaway for free tutoring. But for this one, the student had to guess the number of subscribers I was going to end the month with. And so this was a student that was the closest to get to my subscriber count. So therefore they got the offering of a free tutoring session from there. And then for this September, I don't know where I came, September, I decided just to do a little email kind of giveaway as well. So one thing that I want to do this year is continue doing these kind of giveaways and just mixing it up using Instagram, YouTube, whatever else, email, and just kind of letting you guys know. I mean, I can't offer free tutoring or even just tutoring, even paid tutoring. I just don't have the time to offer those, services throughout the week. But one thing I want to do just to kind of have a little fun, and then also to kind of, give back to those of you that always can benefit from that tutoring, in addition to doing my Sunday Q&As, is to do a little 30-minute session. So, and one of the things, the reason why that is possible, that is definitely for those people that are supporting me on the YouTube membership program. So I did actually a private membership live this past weekend. So if that's something that you are kind of also interested in, and I mean, it doesn't take much. There's definitely different levels to people to be able to support me, but some people are supporting, and I go live at least once an extra month in a private open Q&A every Saturday, that you can go ahead and submit questions. So if I'm not getting to your questions, or if you're posting in the chat and you like a little bit more of a smaller environment, that is definitely something that is possible. And then also I have a premium package that people are providing me to provide the free tutoring. And that's where I want to make sure I'm just, giving back. I mean, obviously they want me to be helping more people on one-on-one. And so that's why I am offering those kind of services. And I'm hoping that, maybe my schedule after these first couple weeks, kind of seeing how this distance learning goes, that I can maybe open up those free tutoring or do a couple more sessions from on there. And then the last thing I just want to let you guys know is this week I'm also going to do a small little release back of my pre-calculus class. I opened my course at the beginning of August, and I already have some students that are going in there with me online. I'm teaching pre-calculus inside the classroom, as well as with some students online that I opened my doors to. So therefore, people could join my class all over. And one thing I kind of decided, after I closed down the doors to my class, because I wanted to focus on getting everything set up. I definitely got some emails of people that hadn't started school yet. They, kind of found the videos weeks after they didn't get on YouTube, and, are now into the school zone. So I decided I don't think it would be I don't think it'd be bad for me to be, or they would be at a disadvantage for them to be entering my course inside the month of September. So that is something that I will be letting you guys know of. If that is something of interest to you, is to join my class, and it is a paid course, but you get access to me in addition to just not like online videos. It's videos that I don't provide on YouTube, and I do extra live streams as well. So it's a little bit more of that personal, again, a little bit more of a personalized touch as far as asking questions, additional videos that that I do not provide on YouTube. So obviously, I'm still making videos. I am posting every week, and if that's something that you are benefiting from, especially my older content, then awesome. If you're looking for a little bit more of a personal touch, as well as like my resources that I use inside the classroom, like my tests, my quizzes, all of my homework, that's something that's inside of my course. So I'll let you guys know about those coming up. But for now, I would like to go ahead and get into our open Q&A. Whoa, all right. Alex, yes, you are number one, Alex. Gotcha. My school in Jamaica ain't opening. Yeah, that's it's kind of weird. I love that. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, everybody. I decided to do it in August because that's when I wanted to open my course. The reason why I wanted to open the course and close it was because I was starting school and I wanted students to follow my course that I'm going with it. But it's kind of everything's all different, and I know that a majority of schools got delayed. Our school ended up getting delayed as well. And then a lot of, I originally set my launch date for August 3rd, back of last June, so thinking that, I don't know, we'd just be kind of more back to normal, by the fall time. And, obviously we're not there. So I think just kind of realizing that still students are now going back to school and are just starting those first 2 weeks and are now just realizing that they're struggling with pre-calculus and that my course can be beneficial for them. I've only released one chapter, and actually I just released my second chapter. So, based on my courses being pretty condensed, that's definitely something if somebody wanted to follow along with my course or just kind of get it caught up in their own course, then they could definitely go ahead and follow along. Ask guys a question. So my kids started on Thursday. Very nice. Yes, it is all interesting. Kind of getting back into things. So we will good. Well, hey, Travis and Daniel, Mr. McClellan, have you taught a math team, for example, math counts? No, I have not. Hey, Paula and Travis, is algebra too hard? It could be, Travis. It could be. All right, so let's go and see what we got on deck here. We have Alex. We're going to talk about some proving functions are inverses of each other. Then I have a degree minute second problem that I'm going to cover. I'm not sure if that is written correctly, so I'm going to maybe adjust from there. And then Aiden asked a question, again, submitted a question, but this was a question actually I answered last week, so I'm not sure if Aiden got my answer last week or not, but it was submitted for this week, so I just wanted to make sure that you see. But if you wanted to see what my answer was, you can go back. And hey, George. I always forget as far as on your name, as far as the George in there. We got a factoring problem for the difference of two cubes. Addie had one for a word problem, which I hopped on this. I hopped on, looked at these notes at like 9:40, so I was just going back through. I'm not sure if this is 100% correct, but then these mixture problems. It's been a long time since I did these. And then I wanted to give you guys an example of some of the questions that I get. And I apologize if this is your question and you're on here. But yeah, as far as like getting some questions, this is a lot of times what I get. I'm like, I just don't know what else you want me to talk about, because functions is like a whole chapter. So I'm not sure what else I can do for those kind of questions. I got you, Johnny V. I saw another question. I saw your document that you added in there, and I see you're on the chat, but I'm not sure how that related to this. And then also during the word problem, I was running out of time, so I didn't even have time. I like breezed through it, but I didn't have time to kind of think through what I would need to do to set up the problem. But I saw this, and I can at least give you a quick little identify this, even though it's not very specific, but I can maybe do a little run through of that. We have some factoring problems. And then Genesis wanted me to do, I think, number 1 and number 1 here as far as covering out those problems. Find the binomials that belong in each set of parentheses. 2x. Oh, okay. All right. And yeah, and that was it. Okay. So definitely got some factoring. Looks like school is back in order. People are doing their factoring problems. And Addie, I can't believe it was in high school in Missoula, Montana. Oh. It was when I was in high school. All right. So, well, you're very welcome, Jason. Happy to. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at. And Alex, if you want to, or Johnny V, if you want to send that document again, I was just kind of confused because you talked about logarithms, and then I saw that and it had nothing to do with logarithms, so I was confused what the relationship was. So if you want to resend that, if you want to resend the question and just re-upload it, I mean, I can go and take a look at it. I was just confused because I saw logarithms and then I see that and I'm like, that doesn't make anything. Those don't seem connected to me. So therefore I just moved on because I was kind of mid through the questions trying to get everything set up. All right, so let's go and take a look here. And again, guys, also all of these questions, these are submitted on my Google form. So if you're wondering where these people got these, how they are able to submit their questions, in my description of this chapter, you can go ahead and see the Google form where you can go ahead and submit your questions to me. And each and every week, I take questions from that Google form and put them on the chat. And that is where I am. That is where I got those questions. In addition, if I don't get to your question or you're looking for something that's a little bit more of immediate response, I also has a Discord server that you can go ahead and post those questions from Algebra 1 through Calculus, whereas people will answer and help each other out with your questions. All right, very good. Customer teacher. All right. So let's go and take a look here, Alex. Determine whether the functions are inverses. So there's a couple things if you want to remember. Remember a function, the function applies operations to a variable, right? So here's our x, here's our input variable. So when a function is, you plug something in, you get something out, right? And to go from in to out, you're applying some operation. Something's happening to that input value. And in that case, that's going to be what we call the rule. So, you multiply 1/2 times x and then minus 11. So the inverse of the function is undoing it, right? It's like the opposite operations. It's going to undo what happens to the function, to the input variable. So the reason why I bring that up is if f of x and g of x are inverses, then the composition of f of g of x is going to equal x if and only if g of f of x, is also going to equal x. And again, that makes sense. Like if you think about it, a function and its inverse are going to undo each other, right? They're kind of like those opposite operations. So if you apply operations and then you undo those operations, you're going to get back what we call the identity element, in this case, x. So what we're going to do is let's just go ahead and plug that in. Let's go and see. So if I plug in f of g of x, I'm going to take a 1/2 times, then I'm going to plug in this 2x plus 22 minus 11. Go ahead and apply a little distributive property. That's going to be x plus 11 minus 11, which equals x. Now I want to make sure I do g of f of x. You have to go on both ways. And so therefore I'm going to plug fx into there. So that would be a 2 times 1/2 x minus 11 plus 22. So therefore that's an x minus 22 plus 22. And you can see that they both equal x. So yes, they are. And I know you sent a whole bunch of problems. You're just going to apply the exact same operation. Apply composition in both directions. And as long as they both equal the identity element x, then you have two functions that are inverses. Now, this question I didn't like as much because I'm assuming the student wrote it down wrong. Or either way, I'm just going to do it this way because it doesn't really make sense the way that the problem is written for this to be 3,290 minutes, because obviously that is larger than a couple degrees. So I'm assuming that is probably what they meant, is 3,260 seconds. So but again, if it's a typo or whatever else, then you can still go ahead and get the right answer. I'm going to show you what to type into the calculator. but I'm not going to go ahead and type this in. So one way that we can use measurement between degrees would be decimals, right? You can just use a decimal between 1 degree, 1.1, 1.2, and so on and so forth into the next degree. The other way is going to be break down degrees in terms of our minutes, being that there's 60 minutes in 1 degree, and we can break down our minutes into 60 seconds. So it's just a way for us to break down the intervals. So the important thing is 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes, which is equal to 3,600 seconds, okay? Because there's 60 minutes in 1 degree and there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So 60 times 60 is 3,600. So what that means is, like for instance, if I had 59, if I said 59 minutes, that'd be almost 1 degree, right? So therefore, 59 minutes, if I wanted to write that in terms of like, how would that be in terms of a degree? Well, or how close would that be in degree? I can set up this ratio, say 59 to 60 degrees, right? So if I had 59 minutes, that's 59 out of 60 minutes, right? Or if let's say I had 590 seconds. Actually, that's equal to 509 seconds is equal to 590 all over 3,600 degrees, right? Because again, that's a ratio. What you're doing is you're just taking that seconds and you're putting over how many seconds make into a degree. So if I wanted to convert this to a decimal, all I'm simply going to do is I'm going to convert my minutes and seconds into ratios. So I'll say 1 second, or 1 degree, I'm sorry, plus 45 out of 60 plus, and this was the 3,260 all over 3,600. Okay. And again, these are all going to be decimals of a degree. Jeez. So they're all going to be decimals of a degree. And then you can just go ahead and add them and then whatever that answer ends up being. Okay. So again, remember when you're dealing with minutes and seconds, those are just decimals or portions of a degree. So then just write them as a ratio. All right, Aiden, this was a question again. Go ahead and check the last stream. I don't remember what question I was, but if you just go through the stream, you'll see I went ahead and explained that answer for you. The next one is go ahead and write in this concept as a factor. So immediately what I looked at is, if you need to factor something, you need to write it as a product. Okay. So you have to have multiplication going on. If they're asking you to factor something, that means you need to write an expression as a product. The next thing I noticed was the cubed. And so therefore, immediately I went into the difference of 2 cubes. And so the difference of 2 cubes is a special relationship, kind of like the difference of 2 squares. That's going to be very similar. Once you do it a couple times, it's not hard to kind of memorize, but here is going to be that special product. The main idea that you really want to do here is really just identify what your A and your B are. So in this case, I have x plus y cubed minus 1. Now again, so basically what you want to do is be able to write each of these elements as what they are in cubes. So therefore you can identify your A and your B. So in this case, I can write this as x plus y cubed minus 1 cubed. So therefore I could say A equals x plus y and B is equal to 1. So now I already have is this a sum? No, that was minus. Okay, so now I know that it's the difference of 2 cubes, right? A cubed minus another cube. So therefore, for this example, I can just now substitute A in for x plus y. So x plus y. And then you can do minus 1, right? And you can put those in parentheses. And then times x plus y squared plus x plus y times 1 plus 1 squared. Okay, and that's basically the expanded form. That's basically your expanded form, and then obviously you could go ahead and simplify that a little bit further. As far as the other one goes, it's going to be the exact same process. Why do I keep on writing right 2? That's going to be 3x plus 2y cubed plus, now in this case, what number cubed is going to equal 27? Well, that's going to be 3 cubed. Okay, so we could say A equals 3x plus y, and B equals 3. So again, just following, the same formula here. This is going to be 3x plus y plus 3 times 3x plus y, quantity squared, plus, oops, run out of space, so let's move all this. Plus a 3x plus y times 3, and then plus 3 squared, so 3 squared. And there you go. And then again, you can go ahead and simplify, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to leave it at that. No worries. And I hate word problems. I absolutely hate word problems, but I decided, since Addie has been so awesome to me, I had to go ahead and give her a little bit of my time to read the problem and try to remember a mixture problem. And I apologize. I was really actually in a time crunch this evening. So I was like, crap, I do not have time. I'd have to like think about this, and I didn't have time to verify anything. So the main thing is, so I'm not sure if this is correct, but I think and hope, if I remember correctly, what you're going to want to be doing or from here. So the main thing, which is the mixture problem, I would recommend dealing with. There's two things that I kind of remember is one, you're thinking about, you have these mixtures or these percentages, so using them as decimals. And then obviously we have these two mixtures, right? So if X is going to represent what 0.05, and then you're going to subtract that amount from the 500 is going to represent the other solution. And so that's how you can answer that question for the 0.05 and then subtract that from 500 to be able to get the 0.10 mix. And then again, our goal is to be able to get this of 0.08 of, again, a 500 gallon mixture. So I don't have a calculator to work through the example, but hopefully this equation kind of makes sense based on what you are learning and what you understand. And then from here, you can just apply distributive property, combine like terms, and go ahead and solve, and it works. Which I hope. Yes, I hate word problems. Well, I hate them just as much as like students hate them. And especially for the open Q&A, they're really difficult because before I decided to like copy and paste stuff, people are like, give me a word problem. I'm like, I don't have time to write out a word problem, or nevertheless go through it. But, sometimes it will just have to, this makes it a little bit easier. And then again, as long as I'm not going through every single step, this allows me to at least get through majority of the questions there. Question number 6, I have no idea, but here's like the example that I wanted to, and I apologize if this is your question. But I just wanted to show you guys, like, these are a lot of the questions that I get, where, people will submit questions, but I'm like, I just don't know what else I can do to help you. And I don't really want to ramble on your question. So therefore I usually just delete them and move on, because I want to make sure that if you have a question and you have something specific, like, please submit it, and please let me know what it is about functions or algebra 1 that you're having trouble with. That's why I leave you guys that opportunity to, upload your pictures of a problem you're working on or anything else. But yeah, the more specific you can get, it's just the easier it is for me as a teacher to be able to help you out. So if you want to resubmit, anything that you're working on will be great. Even like just a topic or a process, but definitely problems always helps. And yet, for instance, even like this, at least at least I'm talking about logarithms and ln. And I'm not really sure even from here. Basically when I'm teaching the log of x or y equals ln of x, which we're actually teaching right now, I usually just default to the ln of x. Obviously it doesn't matter what the basis for the logarithm, the transformations are going to be the same. But, I like to use just ln of x because we know the base is e. And hopefully this is something that you have seen before as far as these transformations. But that's where I just really like to know. I like to apply. I like to remember what the natural logarithm looks like, or the logarithmic graph. And again, it doesn't matter what the base is. It's still going to have an x-intercept at 1 and a vertical asymptote at 0. Until you start getting into transformations. Okay, so that is what the natural logarithm graph looks like. And then again, remember, A is going to be stretching or compressing if A is less, or vertically stretching or compressing. If A is less than 1, it's a reflection about the x-axis. B is going to be a horizontal stretch or compression. Make sure your B is factored out, like in this form. If B is negative, that's a reflection about the y-axis. C is shifting your graph left or right, and D is shifting your graph up or down. So I think just making sure that you know that is the y or x-intercept from there, and that you have this vertical asymptote. And then really it's just applying the same transformations that we are aware of with all functions, and then just being able to apply them in the right context. The next example says b squared minus 6b plus 8. So the student wanted me to factor one, and they wanted some more things with algebra 1, but yeah, this is, it's been a while since I taught factoring, and as far as on the basic side of things, I guess the main idea I think that I've kind of come to terms with for students, helping them with factoring, is, I've taught all those like diamond methods and all the like slow ways to be able to factor. But I've also found, teaching upper level mathematics, that students, that hasn't helped them really develop the understanding of why they're doing factoring or what that really produces. It just teaches them, it makes it a little bit easier for them to follow to be able to get the correct answer. I think the main idea that I like to drive home with students, or what I've found with them struggling, is that when you want to factor something, that means you want to rewrite it as a product. And if all quadratic trinomials can be rewritten as a product of two binomials, and if you remember by FOIL, or how you would just apply this distributive property, that the first two terms are going to give you b squared, and the last two terms are going to give you 8. So now I just got to think about, well, what are all the numbers that multiply to give me 8? And again, typically you can do this in your head. That are going to add to give you 6. Well, there's only 2, right? It's 4 and 2. But again, they're not just going to add you 6. They need to add to give you a negative 6. So therefore, hopefully you can see that this answer is going to be b minus 4 and b minus 2. And again, we can always check our work, right? Apply distributive property back to be able to make sure that that works. B times b is b squared. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. That's a negative 4b. That's a negative 2b. Those add up to give you a negative 6b. And the same thing works here. So in this case, what I'd recommend doing first here is factoring out the 2. Nobody wants to factor when our quadratic term has a coefficient. So let's factor out the 2 first, and that's going to give me a 3n minus 54. All right, so again, we know, quadratic. That means it can be broken down, quadratic trinomial, broken down into a product of two binomials. I know this is n, and I know this is n. Now I just got to think, what two numbers multiply to give me 8, and then add to give me 3? Well, or multiply to give me negative 54, and then add to give me 3. Sorry, I just got description on the chat. So let's see here. So we could do, I know that 27 times 2, that's going to give me 54. Had to give me 3. Now my brain is not coming to me. Does anybody get 9 and 6? 9 times 6 is 54. Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you. So anyways, because 9 is obviously going to go in times there. I was trying to think of my different numbers. 9 times 6 is 54. Yeah, that's right. My brain is now starting to get fried. But it's going to want to be, now here's a kind of interesting question. So we have 9 times 6, right? But again, it's equals negative. That means one of them has to be negative. So it needs to be negative 9 times 6 or a 9 times a negative 6. So which one is it? Well, once you start doing enough of these problems, what you recognize is whatever the middle term is, if the middle term is positive, that means the larger of my two products factors needs to be positive. So therefore, because when you add them together, you need to get a positive 3. So therefore, we're going to look for a positive 9 and a negative 6. Thank you very much. Again, 8 and 3, Johnny. All right, Genesis was asking another factoring problem, and I think this is the last one anyways. And then actually, if you guys have any questions, I'll be able to get back in the chat for a little bit for you guys. So she was asking, factor the polynomial using the GCF. And this actually says 5x cubed plus 30x squared minus 15x. Okay, so the GCF is just going to be a common factor. That's going to be the largest common factor, the greatest common factor. And basically what we mean by that is a factor of all three terms. Basically something that evenly divides into all three of these terms. So we want to look at that in terms of numbers as well as our variables. So the largest number that divides into each one of these is going to be 5. So I can divide that 5 out. Since that 5 is a common factor of all of them, you can divide it out. Basically means divide each of these by 5. And again, we're factoring, right? Factoring means to rewrite it as a product. So when you divide something out, you're rewriting the problem as a multiplication problem. Like for instance, let me just give you a quick little example. If I said 6, right? 6 has a common factor of 3. You can divide out a 3, and what would you be left with? A 2. So we can rewrite 6 as 3 times 2. That is factoring. We just took the number 6 and rewrote it as a product. So you can think of a number that divides into 6, 3. Divide 3 out, right? 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. So all we're doing when we're factoring something is we're just rewriting it as a product. So I can factor out a 5, and also I can factor out an x, because x is the largest term that factors into all of those. And so you factor out an x, therefore you're left with a, let's see, that's going to be 5x, that's going to be x squared. 30 divided by 5x is going to be a 6x, and this would be a negative 3. And again, if my brain's kind of a little melted here, let's just double check, make sure this works. That works, and that works. So there you go. That is going to be your factored form. Now, the next example looks a lot more confusing. And actually, I didn't do group work here. But basically what we're going to do is we're just going to factor out the GCF for both of these terms. And that's basically what the question is asking, is when you factor out the GCF, what's going to be left over in the parentheses? So if I factor out a 2x here, right, that's what we're factoring out, I am just going to be left with a x and then minus a 4z. And if you're not sure again, like let's multiply this out. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 4z is a negative 8xz. Good. And let's actually move that over so the black can be seen. All right, and then let's do the next one, which is a 2xy minus 8yz. And in this case, you can see the common factor is a 2y. When you factor out a 2y, you're being left with an x minus 8z. So hopefully kind of getting those set up, you can go ahead and work through the rest of the problem. All right, Addie says a lot more confusing. Oh my God, are you talking to me or not? Mr. McGlade, you really taught me more in 1 minute than a tire. Well, good. I'm happy to be able to help you, Thomas. What do you dislike in this video? He's up and out, people. Yeah, seriously, who's giving me dislikes? Come on now. I need some calc practice, not this. Well, Zena, next time send me over some calc. I'm not teaching calculus this year, but if you do have some questions, I might be able to help you out. Just go ahead and get them submitted in there. But I will say with calculus, calculus overall is not really that hard. What students struggle with calculus is the algebra. So even though it might be like, oh, this is too easy, I already know how to do this stuff. This is good review, even for calculus, even just the idea of factoring out those common terms, the factoring here, logarithms, that's a good review for calculus, and making sure you know what those graphs look like and applying them. Mixture problems, I'm not really sure, but I guess maybe. Difference of two cubes, sum and difference of two cubes, definitely. Degrees, minutes, seconds, not so much. Composition of functions, that's huge in calculus, so making sure you understand that concept. So it's kind of funny though, because yeah, nothing directly would be like, here is our calculus problem, but a lot of this stuff is actually foundational stuff for the calculus curriculum. So definitely want to make sure that even though I'm not teaching the calculus in this open Q&A for the questions that are provided, each of these definitely support a correct calculus curriculum. But yeah, if you guys do have questions that you'd like me to cover for next week, in the description I have my Google form, as well as you guys can go to the Discord and get it from there. Still chopping on integrals and functions, yes. And most of I'm not covering much of calculus, at least on the open Q&As, but I do have a large playlist for limits, derivatives, integrals, from when I was teaching calculus inside the classroom. And, whoa. AP Calculus, anything good review? Yes, I would take it. Aiden, you got tagged. Congratulations. Let's see. Thomas, do you have a recommendation of websites to help with just factoring and algebra in general? I mean, no, I don't. I mean, I think, I mean, no, I don't have anything that I endorse or I'm familiar with that would have the exact practices. I think a lot of anything that's just going to provide extra worksheets or practice problems and then videos, to make sure you're doing it correctly, I think would just be, perfectly fine. But it really does just kind of come down to practicing with as far as factoring goes. Oh yeah, here comes all the questions. Does any SAT math tips? I think just practicing. I don't do like SAT prep or anything like that, but I think just if you get those SAT books or if you do any of the courses, but just like practice as much as you can, like now. Don't wait until like next week or next weekend. Like you should be doing, try to do like 5 to 10 SAT math questions, every night. Not something to overwhelm you, but just something where you can practice. And then just take all the ones that you don't understand and skip it, come back to it. And then maybe when you have like an hour, like once or twice a week, then really spend that time. Or if you're a tutor or whatever else, then focus on those ones that you're struggling with. But you should be doing just a lot of practice and repetition. I think will definitely help you out. Simon, I do not take questions on my Instagram. So if you do have a question that you'd like me to answer, you need to submit it to the Google form. So I do appreciate and you send it to my Instagram, but that is just not how I take questions. So if you would like me to answer your questions or help you out, go ahead and submit it to the Google form, or you can go into the Discord and I will be able to take a look at it. I need help with simplifying really big radicals. Okay. Again, if you have a question, specific questions, then you can go ahead and submit it in there. I do have a whole bunch of videos on radicals, so I'm not really sure what you mean by really big radicals. I'm not sure if you're talking about the index or what the radicand is. I just started calculus college. Any tips? My pre-calc isn't the strongest, so how would you recommend best prepare myself for college calc? Yeah, I think just recognizing like it's perfectly fine. Like there's probably going to be some things that you maybe like don't connect with in college calc because you didn't learn it or you didn't understand it in pre-calculus, and that's perfectly fine. Just realize that you might have to just review. I think the thing about calculus is you can definitely do well in calculus even if you miss some things from algebra or in pre-calculus, but a lot of that stuff, you're going to have to put in the work. You have to pick it up, but it's okay if maybe you're like, why is that the case? Maybe I didn't really truly understand that, when I was first learning it, and it comes back around now in calculus, and that's fine. But I would just definitely make sure that you are just continually doing practice, like you're staying up to date with the course. Because I think that's one of those things with calculus that students sometimes seem that the course gets more difficult is if they start to fall behind because maybe they're not understanding what they should have remembered from pre-calculus or algebra and they're not staying current with the course, it kind of gets overwhelming. It just kind of keeps on moving on and then they're not catching themselves up. They're not staying active in the course and then it feels like it's too much for them to be able to handle. So I would just say make sure that you're staying on top of that and you can and getting your questions answered as you go. And I definitely think you can still be successful inside the course, but you just got to be aware that, hey, there's going to be some things I'm probably forgetting that might put me at a disadvantage. I just got to make sure that I am, speaking up when I don't understand something and getting the help that I need when it comes up. Compared to my teacher, thank you. You're very welcome, Alex. I'm glad I could help. Yeah, just make sure you remember that f of g of x. If and only if. So work it both ways. And again, you're just plugging one function into the other and making sure you're getting them back to that identity element. Can you recommend superlative algebra 2 textbooks to understand concepts and practice? I cannot, just because I am not aware of anything that would be out there for the algebra 2 textbooks. My tutor was a nightmare. Sorry about that. Cap said, how old are you in math teacher? I actually do remember saying I want to be a math teacher. I think it was like my junior year maybe of high school. And no, math did not come easy to me. So that was something, and it was kind of weird. I wanted to become a math teacher, but I wasn't really great at math either. So it was kind of one of those odd decisions. Linear library, go start flipping through. Yeah. What's it like when students are back well, at least in my school, we're doing a 50-50 split. Like we're doing half of the students are there on one day and then the other half are in the next day. And then when the students are in class, they're wearing masks. We have shields. I'm wearing a mask and they can't see the board. They can't really see me. It's kind of like this just big old mess. And then I teach like the other classes like online. And so yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's really weird. I'm trying to do my best. I'm trying to be understanding with the students as well, cause yeah, it's tough as a teacher, at least in the way that I take it is, I want to be understanding with the students because they're taking my pre-calculus course unlike any other student before them has taken my pre-calculus course, right? They just don't have the interaction that we usually do. They don't have the practice that we usually do. They don't have the instruction that my other students have been given. On the same thread, I want to make sure that also I'm giving them a quality course that has the rigor that they want and need to be successful outside of my class. And so I want to make sure that also I am, giving them what they, what they kind of signed up for, but also being understanding of the current circumstances. So it's just kind of right now, it's a little, tug and pull back and forth, kind of figuring out where this medium is going to work as far as moving forward. And, that's what I said originally. I was like, I don't think I'm going to grade these quizzes. I just don't have time to grade quizzes. And, my other classes I'm teaching, I'm just like, I don't know if I can do it. And then I'm like, well, I'll grade the first quiz and then we'll kind of see from there. And then I graded the first quiz. I'm like, I'm so bored of grading all these quizzes. But then I'm like, these students need me to grade their quiz. Like a multiple choice is not going to be sufficient for them. So yeah, that's where I kind of have ended myself up. Okay. Which grade do you say you learn things problem 8, 10? Alex, as far as on the YouTube membership, if you go to my channel, you can go ahead and take a look at the membership. I think it's just under memberships on my YouTube channel. You can go and look at it from there. And yeah, it's actually even as little as $199 actually, from there. So there's actually even a smaller membership, and that's just kind of like your support from there. So I do appreciate everybody that is supporting, and I think it's really fun to have people that are also paying it forward and getting some other people, the tutoring and also like the open private live stream. A lot of people don't take advantage of the extra, live stream, but it's also a way for you guys to kind of submit questions and us to go through them on a different time in addition to my open Q&A. I'm just talking about having to be here every week. Yeah, I know, Eddie. You are a mainstay, and that's why I was like, dang it, why did you submit this word problem? Because if there's anybody that I have to answer a word problem for, it is you. So thank you for submitting the word problem on me, because I was like, dang it, I have to do this for you. But it's always great to have you on the live stream. So thank you. Thank you again for all of your support and helping out with my channel. I think everybody always kind of looks and they're like, oh, she must be, paid and whatever else. And it's like you've done so much supporting for my channel. I really, really do appreciate it. Daniel says, I'm in college and wondering if I should take calculus or applied linear algebra first. Any tips? Your videos have been so. I mean, I would definitely talk with your counselor and what you're going through. I believe, at least when I went through, I had to take calculus and then linear algebra. So I'm assuming that would be your trajectory that you should have as well. But maybe I could be wrong. So I think I definitely just talk with your counselor, or maybe calculus what you're doing for your program and what it is you need. As far as off the top of my head, I guess I'm not seeing anything as far as what you would need from the calculus to the linear algebra. Off the top of my head, I mean, obviously it's been a long, long time since I took linear algebra. But I think maybe just even the rigor or the understanding of the concepts, is going to be something that they probably want from there. Do you teach physics too? I send questions in Discord. Emmanuel, I do not teach physics, and you do not see a physics category on my Discord. And that is because I am of no use or help in physics. So I do apologize. I took one course in college, but I don't remember much of anything on that. So I apologize. I'm not much help there. Thanks, Brian. I just watched your video about piecewise functions and it really helped. Well, you're welcome. And Jay, I'm very happy for that. And Wendigo, thank you. But I'm late. Well, thank you so much, Wendigo, for joining me, and everybody else, I guess, also as well for on the live stream. It's good to have you on and good to see you again. It's been a while since seeing you on the live streams. And Mintra said, you helped me through high school and now I'm in college. I can't thank you enough. And that's so cool. I love that, the fact of, I was even thinking about this, like, man, it's, some people, it's like, there's one kid, they're like, I do like in like they're like, I watched your videos like in 7th grade, and it was probably like one of my pre-algebra questions. And then they're like in college and then they're like, I was watching one of your videos on calculus. And it's like, I remember watching you in 7th grade and it's like, yeah, when you've been teaching for 10 years online, everything from algebra 1 through calculus, it's like, it's kind of funny those. Well, actually it doesn't really matter for 10 years, but yeah, just when you have that much content or I guess, yeah, just being along for that long, yeah, it's kind of funny that, and I think it's just kind of cool that my videos have been able to help people throughout their kind of math careers. Sangeeta says, for tutoring, how many classes per month do you provide? I'm not sure what you are referring to. Are you talking about the YouTube membership or are you talking about my online course? Those are kind of two different things. So as far as, I'll just go through it. I'm assuming you maybe want one or the other. But as far as my YouTube memberships, I do a private YouTube membership every month from on there. So actually the first Saturday of the month, I do a private live stream where same kind of idea as the open Q&A. You can submit questions to there and I go ahead and answer the questions from there, or I'll just go ahead and do something to, hang out and answer any additional questions. As far as my online course, that's more pre-calculus based. And so as of right now, same kind of thing. I kind of like subscribe to, I will be doing at least one live stream every single month. But so far in my course, in my online course for pre-calculus that I opened in August, that I am reopening again this week, I've been going live every week, just kind of, we had our first quiz this week. So I did that last week. I went over that with my online class. This week with my online class, I'm going to go over the second quiz with them. So we'll just, I'm just as much live streams as I can. I only want to confirm that I can do it once, just because my schedule can obviously fluctuate a little bit. But so far I've been going live every week and that's what I kind of plan on doing for that. Well, you're very welcome. I'm happy to be able to help you out. So nobody is watching the bubble. Not sure what you mean with the bubble. Membership. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the membership also has different, as far as the membership, I just do that one live stream, just a one additional live stream from on there. All right. Very good. All right, guys. Well, it is 9:54. Time for me to head out. Thank you guys for joining me on this holiday weekend, at least for us in the United States. I'm going to enjoy having an extra day off from school so I can plan and prep and be ready for the next week. But ladies and gentlemen, I will be back next week to answer your questions. Again, if you are just joining in and you do have a math question, in the description below, you can go to my Google form and submit a question there. Also, you can go to the Discord and submit one there. And thank you so much, guys, for joining in. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great night, evening, or morning. I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.